Hello and welcome to another episode of 2 Minutes with Tim here on Heaven We're Thinking. Today I want to challenge you on Ephesians chapter 4 verses 22 through 24, so I'll read it and we'll get right into this week's challenge. You were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, and to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. These verses are a great reminder for us each day, each week, as we go throughout our days, to not live the way we used to live before we were Christians. If we are calling ourselves Christians, if we have a relationship with Jesus Christ, and if He is the Lord of our lives, then we need to give our lives over to Him and to live how He wants us to live, instead of living however we want to live like we did before we were Christians. If we're going to follow Jesus, then we have to lay down that old self. We have to put off the old self, as it says in verse 22, because it is full of corruption and deceit. And then we have to be made completely new, to have a totally different mindset, which is what we are trying to do here at Heaven We're Thinking. We're trying to develop a different attitude of mind, a different perspective by which we view the world, we view ourselves, and how we are supposed to live in God's kingdom. And then we see we're supposed to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. And so we have to pursue something different than when we were living without Christ. When we live without Christ, then we're pursuing our sinful, human, fleshy desires. When we live with Christ, we are pursuing things like righteousness and holiness. We're being created differently. We're being made differently by Jesus as we grow deeper in our faith and in our relationship with Him. And so we have to have this distinction and see that we are being different than we were before. Hopefully other people, when they look at us, they're able to see there's something different about that person. Hopefully when we examine our own lives, we're able to see, wow, I've made progress. I am different now. I'm thinking differently, and then I am acting differently. I'm living differently because I'm no longer living the way my old self lived. Now I am putting on the new self, which is being created differently and is created for God's purpose. And hopefully we're living out that purpose that God has given us with the new self. That's my challenge for you this week, that you would live according to what Jesus wants for your life and not according to your old self dominated by sin, corruption, and deceit. That's my challenge this week, and I hope you'll join us next time for another episode of 2 Minutes with Tim here on Heaven We're Thinking.